Well, you know, it's a little early for endorsement since she just announced yesterday. But here's what I can say. She is talented, tenacious, was a great Secretary of State. She is a friend of mine, and I think she would be an excellent president.
President Obama during an interview with Columbus, Ohio TV station WBNS. When the reporter asked if he might endorse Hillary Clinton, he said, wait a minute, it's too soon to decide. Now, this comes one day after Hillary made her announcement via social media that she is in fact running for president. And as this Time.com article relates, makes people wonder, is the relationship between the former Secretary of State and the president as strong as they both claim? Perfect topic for our political panel. Let's bring in our guests. On the right, we're joined by Megan Barth, political commentator and founder of ReaganBaby.com. She joins us by telephone, ironically from the left coast. And on the left, on our right coast, up at Newsmax, Washington, Stephen Cobb, the former general counsel of the Democratic Party of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and an attorney at Miles and Stockbridge. So, Counselor, sorry, Megan, I know it should be ladies first, but since it's dealing with Democrats, I'm going to go to Stephen first. Actually, I'll cop a plea for the president. He's got a vice president to worry about. I understand functionally it's a little too soon for an endorsement, is it not?
It is definitely soon in the process, but what greater compliment can you get besides telling someone that they're your friend, they did an excellent job as part of your cabinet, and will be a fantastic president? What a great quote and what great support to have from the sitting president of the United States. Whether or not that amounts to a formal endorsement and whether that is today or a month or a year from now, I think that level of support is fantastic, and I think that, you know, eventually you'll see that that formal endorsement come out. But to your point, the primary season is just coming upon us. We're a year out from any of the caucuses and primaries, and so there'll be plenty of time for formal endorsements to come.
So, Megan, before we get your comments, I want to listen. I think what confused a lot of people was the president over the weekend down in Panama when he cut a big slice of rhetorical flattery and flung it in the direction of his former Secretary of State. Let's take a listen to that, then get your reaction, Megan.
She was a formidable candidate in 2008. She was a great supporter of mine in the general election. She was an outstanding Secretary of State. She is my friend. I think she would be an excellent president.
Now, Megan, he said that arguably overseas, or at least in Central America. Why did he backtrack yesterday?
Well, I have a question for Stephen Cobb and also the president. What outstanding job did she do as Secretary of State? What are her accomplishments as Secretary of State? I have yet to hear anyone from the left give us a list. And even when we go on Hillary's website, there is no tab or link that I can click on that lists her accomplishments as Madam Secretary.
Well, Megan, you asked the
I think
question.
we're all asking.
Yeah, you asked the question. Let's see what Stephen would say in response. Stephen?
I think she did a fantastic job as Secretary of State. Remember that when the Obama administration came in and when Secretary Clinton began her tenure at the State Department, there was a lot of repairing of our relationships with our allies that really, needed to be repaired. And she did a great job in crisscrossing the world and helping to repair those relationships that had been damaged from the foreign policy of the previous administration. I think she did a great job at that, and I think you're going to hear her highlight some of those accomplishments as her campaign starts to take hold.
Well, Stephen, we just heard Megan say she searched in vain on the website for something about accomplishments. And Megan, yesterday, the very curious thing involving the newly announced presidential candidate en route to Iowa, in Ohio, she stops by a Chipotle, and nobody in there recognizes her. Now, I'm just kind of curious on that. Are we reading more into that, the fact that they didn't recognize her when she walked in that popular fast food restaurant?
No, because the last time she was in Iowa, she helicoptered in. So I'm not surprised that people in Iowa don't recognize who she is. She hasn't been in Iowa in quite some time. Her activities of accomplishment include frequent flyer miles that as Stephen alludes to, that she, amassed while Madam Secretary, while supposedly repairing relationships. Well, if you ask the Ukrainians about the reset button that she gave to Putin, I would not say that the Ukrainians would say that was a great accomplishment to reset that damaged relationship.
And speaking of the reset button, Megan Barth, Stephen Cobb, repair to your corners. We'll come back with more from our political panel after this.
Now, just yesterday, a leader from yesterday began a campaign for president by promising to take us back to yesterday.
Florida Senator Marco Rubio, during his announcement that he's running for president, he didn't name names, but he talked about a leader from yesterday. Gee, you think it might be Hillary? Because she put her hat in the ring one day earlier with that video on social media Sunday afternoon. Let's switch sides of the aisle and continue our conversation now with our political panel. Megan Barth, the political commentator and founder of ReaganBaby.com, who's on the phone from California, and joining us from Newsmax Washington, Stephen Cobb, former general counsel of the Democratic Party of Virginia. So Megan, pretty good line from Marco, but should he have started that early going after Hillary?
I think it was perfect time that he came out the day after Hillary announced her campaign in a very slick commercial produced by what could have been the, could have been Media Matters or Centers for American Progress, considering John Podesta is now on her staff. It was very slick, it was very scripted, and it was very Hillary. It was very cold. So I think we did need some warmth to follow that iciness from Hillary and some genuine talking, in front of people and to the American people of why Marco Rubio is ready to run.
Well, let me turn to Stephen. Obviously, Stephen, you're not a big fan of Marco Rubio, but in terms of a well-produced, well-articulated announcement, how do you think the junior senator from Florida did yesterday?
I think Senator Rubio is probably very happy with how things progressed, except for, of course, his website crashing after his announcement. But he was able to articulate his personal story and the passion he has for this upcoming race. And so I think he has to have a very positive viewpoint over how overall his announcement went yesterday. However, I think he is going to have some serious problems in distinguishing himself from some of his Republican counterparts in the primary ahead. He didn't seem to espouse any new sort of policy agenda or direction for the Republican Party. He tried to cast himself as a next generation candidate, but he did so with the policy positions of every other Republican who's announced to be in the race. So there's really nothing to distinguish himself from any of the other Republicans who've announced or the ones that we expect to announce coming forward.
Megan, more now on Marco. We recall that a whole lot of conservatives, a whole lot of Tea Party types are still angry at him over being part of the Gang of Eight and signing on for the McCain-sponsored amnesty plan in the U.S. Senate. He went to the big conservative rally and said he had made a mistake, he was sorry. Is Marco Rubio going to be able to court those conservatives and get him back in his column?
I would hope so, and I would think so, and I hear the left kind of use that tactic against him, but obviously he evolved, much like Barack Obama evolved on gay marriage. It's interesting that Stephen says that he can at least find some policy positions and platform on Marco Rubio's site. It seems like it must have crashed because there was such a fervor following his statement and his announcement of candidacy. But if you go to Hillary Clinton's website, we see nothing. We don't know where she stands. She can't even get de Blasio's endorsement because he's waiting for her positions as related to her future promises of solving inequality. So, the onus really lies on Hillary. She's been in this hunt since 2008, if not before. So where does she stand on the issues?
Well,
what is her platform?
Let's ask Stephen about that. Megan says, hey, look, Bill de Blasio is not endorsing her. Stephen, do you still expect a candidate from the left like Elizabeth Warren to get involved in this thing? Final 30 seconds to you, Stephen Cobb.
No, I don't think you're going to expect to see any Hillary seriously challenged from the left. She's doing a just phenomenal job in rolling out her campaign right now. Even the Republican governor of Iowa complimented her on the manner in which she's going about speaking to individual voters and getting their thoughts on the direction of our country. She's putting together a great campaign, is going to be a formidable candidate, and I look forward to supporting her.
All right, Stephen Cobb, we appreciate your perspective from Washington, D.C., and Megan Barth from ReaganBaby.com. Thanks so much, and we'll be back after this.